Going into the second session of day 4 of the fourth test between India and England, there was, believe it or not, still very much a game in the balance, despite the fact that India were in fact the team that looked favourites to win. Then, to make things worse, they ended up losing 2 quick wickets in the second session, and at that point it did seem like England could potentially have a sniff at getting out a positive result. Luckily, a very vital partnership from these two men on your screen, Shubman Gill and Dhruv Jurel, ensured that India were able to ride out the tough period, get the required runs, and most importantly, seal the 5-match test series against England with one test match still to go. And that is a massive positive when you realize that not only is the series sealed, but also more importantly, India can go for a 4-1 series win, which would of course ensure that they get plenty or the maximum number of points that they could, having gone 1-0 down in the 5-match series after the first test. But how exactly did Jurel and Gill go about what was admittedly a pretty tough chase up until that point? Because it's worth noting, India did lose wickets, not down to just, let's say good bowling from the opposition, but also a pitch that definitely had its demons. Rohit Sharma was undone by a spinning one, so was Jaiswal. Jadeja was maybe the only one who threw his wicket away, but Sarfaraz was also undone by a spinning ball, so was Rajat Patidar. So there was plenty there to spook a batter if he so chose to. Instead, Gill and Jurel, two relative youngsters, even though Gill has already played 23 tests, but both of them still very young, still not the backbone of the team as things were, stitched together an impressive 72-run partnership to ensure that India made it home. How exactly did they do it? Well, after the match, Jurel shed a little bit of interesting light on what exactly his thought process was at that point in time. He was asked about, what they were constantly talking about, and he said that the conversation with Shubman Gill in the second innings, all we were really focusing on is breaking the, amount of runs required down into sets of 10. And then we started to develop the partnership. So basically what they were doing is looking at it and saying, okay, we've got 70 runs to get. Let's not look at it as 70 runs. Knock off 10 runs, then knock off 10 runs, then knock off 10 runs, and keep getting there, keep reducing the number of runs, and then get into conference. And that's exactly, by the way, what they did. Because again, when you had about 20 runs left to go is when they finally started to play really attacking. Gill hit a couple of sixes. There was a boundary in there as well. So it was only at that point, when they knew that the match was in sight, that they chose to turn on the aggression. Otherwise, it was calculated, it was controlled, it was conservative, but it was what the situation at that point in time demanded, given that Shoaib Bashir had gotten 2 wickets in 2 balls and could have potentially taken the game away from India at that point in time. But as Jurel reveals, there was a conversation going on, so naturally, he wasn't the only one who was, let's say, contributing to or giving ideas as regards to what exactly could be done. Gill himself was speaking, and Gill also was interviewed after the match, and he had a pretty interesting suggestion or rather an insight into this entire matter. He said that I simply told Jurel, look, you batted beautifully in the first innings, just keep the same mindset. Try to use the feet to negate Bashir. The way he came down and played, it was beautiful. Now that's 2 interesting bits of, suggestions that came from Gill. The first thing he told Jurel was, listen, you were batting beautifully in the first innings. Just keep the same mindset. Don't worry about anything else. Just keep batting the way you were batting in the first innings, where Jurel, if you remember, made a very crucial 90 runs that pretty much ensured that India did not let England run away with a huge first innings lead. He said, keep that mindset. All you need to do is, if you want to negate Bashir, use your feet, come down the line and ensure that you are not letting the ball spin too much. And the way he did it, it was absolutely beautiful. So that is how 2 of India's younger players scripted a pretty good partnership to ensure that India could get the win in the 4th test at Ranchi, ensure the series is sealed, and ensure that India are done with the series with 1 more test still to go, whilst also potentially being able to win the series 4-1, a dominant test series win if there was ever going to be any. What were your thoughts on this entire, let's say, on the kind of insight that these two shared on their partnership? Well, you can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us on social media as well, on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the AajTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos we've done as well. For now, from my side though, it's goodbye.